My name is Leanne Rhodes, and I'm the head of creative and social media at the National Small Business Chamber, the NSBC. And we're tuning in from my home office. If you hear the sounds of twittering birds, we have a lot here, by the way, and the hardy-daws are very loud, or the barking of the multitude of neighborhood dogs, or maybe the neighbor screaming, or my husband yelling at me, asking me where something is that he can't find. Just remember, don't be alarmed. That's completely normal, because what I wanted to give you was an authentic and unfiltered home office experience. This is a small glimpse of my workspace. I didn't put those words at the top there, home, for this webinar. That is actually how my office looks. You'll see it's bright and it's colorful and it's very me. You see, I'm actually a graphic designer, so anything creative and anything visually stimulating is what I enjoy surrounding myself with in my home office, because when you're happy in your home office, then you work better. So just a little bit more about me. I've been working remotely since 2008. So before it became a global trend, so 12 years ago, I've been working from home. So you can all say that I'm actually a pro at this. Well, I think I am, at least. The reason I work from home is because as a designer, I just need a laptop and a stable internet connection. I used to live in Pretoria, and my life brought me here. And rather than like losing or changing jobs, I decided, let's try this working remotely thing. But it was not as easy as people expect. You will see that I'm mostly an extrovert. So it was actually quite a hectic adjustment, moving from this vibrant, happy workspace where I got to chat to my colleagues about what they were doing on the weekend or be inspired in brainstorming sessions, to quite an isolated and lonely day. And yeah, that was quite a difficult thing for me. And I'm very aware that isolation has quite a negative effect on a person's mental health. So early on, I decided to make a plan to put very specific things in place so that I was healthy mentally and physically, and that it was a good environment for me to work in. So today what I'm going to be doing is just sharing with you some of the things I've picked up on along the way. And as I say, I'm continuously tweaking these steps and these tricks to get the most out of working from home. It is a very personal thing, so a lot of what I recommend might not work for you, but I would like to encourage you to just give it a shot, give it a try, and kind of customize a system and a structure that'll work for you. So let's kick off. There will be kind of a work. I want to keep this session quite interactive, so you are welcome to post on the side, the chat, interact with each other in the chat window. I'm also going to have some polls. I want to encourage you guys, if you're on Twitter or on social media, you can use @NSBC Africa and then use the hashtag working from home, and we can make posts and suggestions, share what your workspace looks like. I know a lot of you are working from home at the moment. And then also just keep a paper and pen handy, because I might be asking questions and you can already start answering them during this chat and during this webinar. Okay, so enough about me. I've taken enough time talking about me. Let's find out more about you. I'm going to do a quick poll on the side in your chats. Please, while you're there, let's start answering. And let's see the results at the end of this poll. Okay, there we go. You should be able to see the poll now. Let's see. Okay, we're getting some answers coming through. So in the poll, I asked the question, what is your working from home experience? So are you a newbie? I'm normally an office dweller and have to work home because of the COVID-19 crisis that we're in. Others are newbies because of other reasons. Do you occasionally work at home? Do you work from home permanently? Or can't you work from home, but you're interested in the future? I'm going to give a few more minutes for you guys to fill that out. based on the results, I'm sensing that a lot of you are being forced to work from home because of this COVID-19 crisis. It looks like about 41% of you. So I would say that is definitely newbie category. And 1 week in, it must be quite a challenge. I really hope that what I can share with you will be able to help you streamline the next 2 weeks until the lockdown is over. All right, so I'm going to end that poll now. We can see the winner is most definitely the newbie COVID-19 reason. And then we see some of you occasionally work from home. And then the next batch is about 20% of you actually work from home. All right, so you guys that do work from home, you might be able to give some tips in the chat along the way. All right, let's end that poll and we're going to move on. All right, so what are we going to cover today? Before we go into all of that, I think more people than ever in history are working from home. And so that makes this a really, really relevant topic at the moment. And I'm very excited to share these things with you. So what are we going to cover? We're going to cover the upside and the downside of working from home. We're going to look at mind shift activation. And that's something I had to put in place very early on. We're looking at building good habits and then dealing with distractions. I'm sure that is something all of you are dealing with. We are in a really unique situation because working from home wouldn't normally involve your entire family being home at the same time. Kids would be at school during certain periods, and you would have bigger, longer stretches where you could actually work. So just so you know, if you are struggling with it, if you are struggling to get something done, these are really extenuating circumstances. So be kind to yourself and just do what you can daily to get done what you need to get done. Then the last thing, and I've mentioned it now, is making it work with kids. So for those of you who have kids, please, if you feel like what I'm mentioning early on is never going to work with kids, it's okay. There will be a section for you where I'm going to give you ideas and tips that you can implement today already to make next week go a lot smoother and for you to be more productive. Okay, so let's go. The upside. The upside of working from home is no lengthy commutes, no more sitting in traffic. I'm sure a lot of you have found you've got like 2 hours spare a day, especially those of you who live in the big cities. There's flexibility in your schedule. That is very, very positive. If you need to do some personal things, you can. There are no office distractions. So there is no consistently ringing phone, or you're not cornered by a super chatty colleague that spills their heart out to you all the time. So there are no office distractions. It's a customizable environment so that you can really make it suit your needs and your personality. For those business owners out there, working from home saves money and expenses, and I think we all really are concerned about that. It's easier than ever before with the right technology. We've all seen how technology has absolutely transformed this world and helped us stay connected during this crisis. And then lastly, staying from home helps us stay safe and it helps us curb the spread of COVID-19. Okay, the downside is there's often poor productivity due to personal distractions. It can be kids, it could be Netflix, it could be the couch, it could be many things. There's also an element of loneliness and isolation, which can, for extroverts like me, really take your energy levels down. There's also a lack of community. There's a lack of motivation. And for the workaholics out there, you might have that problem with switching off, and that you tend to work longer and longer and longer. And even when you're in bed, you're still thinking about work. And like I mentioned before, the mental health aspect about working from home is it does leave people prone to depression and anxiety. It can be a trigger. So it's something you consistently need to do, and you need to look after yourself while working from home. So on to our next poll. All right. We are going to ask now, 1 week in, how are you holding up? Let us see what the current mental state is of all of you working from home. So the first option is it's it's going well and I'm getting a lot done. The next option is there are too many distractions and I'm really frustrated. The next one is I'm struggling with motivation and feeling unproductive. The next one is you're working way too hard and can't switch off. And then the last one is I have cabin fever and I feel like I'm going crazy. All right, let's see those responses coming in. It looks like a lot of you are actually handling this pretty well. Part of me thinks like, well, maybe you can give me tips too that I can implement in the future. Less of you seem to be struggling with distractions. The motivation issue seems to be coming up as second. All right, so we're just going to leave these to come in a little bit longer, and then we'll analyze these as we go. All right, so one of the important things here, okay, so it seems like you guys are doing pretty well 1 week in. I'm impressed. All right, there we go. Let me end this poll and then we can move on to the next section. Okay. Just want to move my face out the way. Okay, there we go. Now I don't cover the text. So firstly, a lot of articles out there approach it in a sense of the to-dos. So do this, do that, do that. They go straight to the practical tips. In my case, I want to actually start with something, the mind shift. And that is before we go to the practical steps, we need to really think about where your mind is before you work. And a famous quote out there is, and I've paraphrased it, is the greatest of our battles always starts and is won or lost in the mind. So that would be the starting point here. So basically, the problem with working from home is that your work time and your personal time starts to blur. And that lack of boundaries can be extremely unhealthy for you. So we need to recondition our brains to create an actual mental division between work mode and home mode. So activating work mode. The whole point of activating work mode would be to get into the zone. You guys all know what the zone feels like. You are focused, you are motivated, you're highly productive, and you have energy to achieve what needs to be done. Okay, so that is the whole goal, is activating this. How are we going to activate this? This is the goal of making the mental switch to work mode. So basically, to enter a world that is separate from your daily personal experience and where your professionalism and drive can kick in and you can tune out the distractions. So that is the ultimate goal of work mode. So how do we do this? Well, basically, we do this by creating a variety of cues throughout the workday. And what is a cue? A cue, as we can see there, is an internal or external event which has a signaling significance to an organism, which subsequently affects learning and behavior. So the first of these, I would say, and one of the most powerful, is to build sensory cues into your workday. And how do you do this? You do this by using your senses. So for instance, you can use your olfactory sense. So when it's time to start working, you might decide, okay, now it's time to bring out that special coffee or to bring out some filter coffee, and the smell of that coffee, the taste of that coffee signals to your brain, work time, it's serious time. You can also use the acoustic senses, so sound. So don't underestimate the power of setting reminders and setting alarms for yourself. Another fun and more interesting way to use this sense is to have like a song or a get to work playlist that is high energy and that really gets you motivated and moving. You can also use the gustatory, which was a new word I learned through creating this presentation, and that's basically your sense of taste. So you can decide to put breakfast in, like have breakfast, and as soon as you've tasted breakfast, that meal is over, that's your signal, okay, breakfast done, work time. The next step is you can use your visual senses and visual cues. You can have a specific place for your office, and even your appearance, which I'll speak about next. And then you can also use your tactile sense. So for me, one of the cues I've worked into my routine is that I shower in the mornings and I get dressed And that feeling of being fresh and clean really wakes me up and activates my mind. Now I can get things done. Over the years, I've conditioned myself to the point where I actually can't work if I haven't had a shower, which is, I know, a strange thing, but that is just what works for me. Next up is establishing a routine. And I can't stress this enough. There will always, and that's the beauty of working from home, is the flexibility. But you should have just a basic routine that you can work around. A routine is a healthy rhythm, so that your mind and your body knows what to expect, and it helps you establish good and strong habits. What would you guys add to your routine? Let's see in the chats. Let's have a look here. So I've mentioned a few. All right. Have a look at what other people put in their routine. Some people enjoy walking the dog. We can't do that right now, but you could around your yard. Some people enjoy listening. Oh, alarm and coffee. Yes, that is very helpful. That's definitely in the routine. Some people would exercise first thing in the morning, and that's getting the blood flow. So that would be a good part of the team. Yes, I've got definitely a lot of you guys exercise. Someone says watering the garden. Yes, that's getting some fresh air, getting dressed. Okay, coffee seems to be the thing. I think we've got a lot of coffee addicts here for sure. All right, so make a note of this. I want you guys with your paper and your pens, just start jotting down the things that work for you. What do you want in your routine, and how are you going to structure your day? And at what time of the day, at what point of the day are you going to fit work mode in? Okay, moving on. Next up, and this is dress for success. So the temptation to work in your pajamas is real. It is really real. But research has consistently shown that dressing up as though you're going to the office will help you perform better. This was one of the tips I got very early on, and I promise you it works. Every single day, I dress as if I'm going to the office. Now, luckily as a graphic designer, I don't have to do the big corporate wear, the suit tie, like the guys have to do. I'm more casual, but I'm still dressed. You'll see a study in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology noted that all clothing has symbolic meaning. So you tend to adopt the behaviors associated with those who wear that clothing. So if you are in your pajamas, that is a signal to your brain that it is sleep mode, it is relax mode. When you get dressed and ready for the day, that is a signal, a cue to your brain that you are there to do business. So obviously, you don't have to go overboard. You don't have to get super dressed up, high heels, pencil skirts, but dress neat. It's good for your self-esteem as well. And for the random video call or conference call you might need to do that day. So yes, dress for success. The next one is your workspace. As you can see, I've taken some time to make my workspace pleasant. When I first started, we lived in a very small flat, and I had a desk in a small bedroom with a bed behind me, which was not great. The temptation was real. When we moved to a new house, I worked in the study. The study was extremely dark. And then later on, we decided there's a small outside storage room which we actually changed into my office. So I physically walk to my office every day, and in that way I'm creating a physical cue and a boundary between my home space and my workspace. All right. So establish a designated working area and use it only for work. I can't stress this enough. Arriving at your designated home office will set a tone of diligence and focus on work for the rest of the day. Okay, here are some more tips. Make sure that it is uncluttered. I've often seen, especially with me, I'm a bit messy. If my environment is messy, it normally means my brain is messy. So try and keep it uncluttered, remove distractions. Make sure it's comfortable. If you have a bad chair and you're dealing with pain, it's really going to influence your productivity. If you need to stack your laptop on books so that you've got like a standing desk, do it. Find a comfortable way to work. Make sure it reflects your personality. Some of you might find too many colors distracting, whereas I find it extremely stimulating. Add some greenery. You can see over here. There have been studies that shown that adding greenery to your workspace can improve your productivity by up to 15%. Make sure it's well lit. As humans, light plays a big role in our well-being, and natural light in that as well. And make sure it's a space you want to be in. So if you don't necessarily have a room you can use in your office as an office, you could always use a section of a room where you've got a desk, and that is your designated workspace. Okay, next up is make sure that you set up your tech properly. You have the right tech, and everything you need is easy to use. So if you need a printer, if you need a scanner, don't have it in another room and have to walk up and down. Make sure that your tech, your internet is a good and decent connection, especially now. And use some tools. There are unbelievable tools and apps out there. In terms of making sure that I structure my day with the right to-dos, I use a great free platform called Trello, trello.com. It gives you a really easy way to create your to-dos in these easy like boards and lists. And it also allows for team collaboration. So you can see where your team is on a specific task. Within the NSBC, we actually use WhatsApp quite a lot. And the reason is the beauty of the voice note. It saves a lot of time in typing unnecessary emails. The only trick with that one is make sure you switch off the notifications, because your personal notifications can influence and actually become distracting. Zoom, I think, has taken off massively since this isolation. Zoom allows you to conference call with many people at the same time and helps you stay connected. Zoho is also another online solution, a complete solution, where they even offer the chance to host webinars and many other things like that. And then, of course, there's something like Microsoft Teams, which is all about team collaboration and making it really, really easy for you to work with your team. Okay, I can't stress this one enough. Build accountability into your workday. Accountability is a powerful motivator. The reason I'm up and at my computer every day at 8 o'clock is because I know my team is up and at their computers at 8 o'clock, and they are emailing and they are messaging and they are waiting for me to send them things. So build that in. Stay connected to your team. Try to work when they work. So if you are used to being in an office with your normal working hours, try and stay in with that rhythm. But it all depends, as I say, personally on you. If you've got kids at home, that might be extremely difficult. So then negotiate with your employer or be more lenient with your staff and allow them to work when perhaps your kids are sleeping, perhaps at night. Share your to-dos with your team and check in regularly with each other. Like, how are you doing on that thing? When did you want to get it done? If you're a solopreneur, find a work buddy. Find another solopreneur or another business-minded person out there that's working at the same time. That'll help curb the feelings of isolation and keep you motivated. Personal connection is extremely vital for our well-being. Whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, we are social as humans, and we need each other. So within this time of isolation, don't isolate yourself. Use the tools available and stay connected with your community. All right, and then create a nice atmosphere. Music is one of the top ones in that sense. I use playlists such as Spotify. When I need to concentrate, type, or read, I select a playlist that has no words in. If I need to be creative and I need to have a lot of energy and brainstorm, I choose a playlist that's quite vibey. The benefit of this is if you have earphones and you've got your music on, it will also help block out distractions in your environment. And then listen to podcasts to help you feel more motivated and connected to the people in your field and to stay in touch with what's going on. There is so much out there that is available. So don't, some of you, if you've got really great podcasts that you listen to, why don't you put it in the chat now for others to see? And that would be perhaps a good way to start the day, perhaps a good way to take a break. And if you're feeling your energy is dipping, use this to create that atmosphere and to get your energy back. All right, so we've spoken about external cues. All of these are external ways to get your brain into work mode. But like we saw earlier in the definition, it is external and internal. All right, so internal ones are very important, and that is you need to establish your why. Everything I've said means absolutely nothing if you cannot answer the question, why am I doing this work? Why am I working? If you don't enjoy your job, at least know that, find that motivation in, I'm providing for my family, I'm looking for my family. But most of us here, I believe, would enjoy their work. For instance, I love what I do, and I have to constantly and consistently remind myself that I actually enjoy what I do. I love what I do. And in that way, you've got an internal motivation to keep moving forward. All right. So now we've spoken about activating work mode. Now you have to activate home mode, creating that mental division between the two because you're sharing the same space. So home mode is where you leave your kick-ass, success-driven, highly professional self at the door, and you switch to your home self and whatever other roles you have in your life, the mother, the father, the friend, the wife, the husband. It's important to find this balance. And how do you find this balance? Well, first thing, and I do this consistently, is you close the door to your work. Luckily, I have a physical door that I close. I do not go back into that physical space again until it is time for work. Okay, so keep a physical space as a trigger for your mental division. I do something silly sometimes, like I change my outfit. So I'm out of my work day is done. Now it's time for the pajama pants and all that. A big one to stay healthy is to go outside. Please, guys, we need vitamin D. We have to go outside. Take some time, like someone said, go into the garden, go water the garden if you have a garden, but just get some of that sunshine in your face. And then lastly, move. When you work from home, you can sometimes become extremely stationary. So throughout the day, I take regular breaks to go make tea. I have a tea addiction, but that actually serves me well. In the sense that it compels me to move, to get up, to stretch, to go and walk to the kettle. But I also mean things like working out. And I know that's a big problem due to this isolation. You can't just go for a run. You can't go to the gym. So I found a really helpful app, and it's a free app called the Nike Training Club. And it is absolutely brilliant. It's for any fitness level. It gives you videos, it works out plans for you. You can do it while listening to music. Please, I have seen the negative consequences of when I overwork, which is very easy to do in a home environment, and when I don't exercise. Anxiety creeps in, stress creeps in, and I'm just not as happy and productive as I should be. So get the blood flowing, and that'll also help you create that division between work and home mode. All right. But unlike the traditional work hours or environment, you might need to switch between work mode and home mode quite often in the day, just depending on your schedule, depending on your flexibility, and depending on if your kids are at home too. But at least now you've got some cues on how to do that. All right. The next bit we're going to chat about is just building habits. Let me just move my face out the way again. All right. So what are some of your bad habits and that get in the way of your work? Let's see on the chat. What would you say are some of your bad habits? I think one of my bad habits is, part of my job is social media, and when I open social media, I see all my personal feeds, and I kind of get lost in that, and then some time disappears, and then I can't even remember why I was there in the first place. So it's like kind of going into a room and forgetting why you're there. So to combat that bad habit, I actually use a tool called Hootsuite that then puts all my social media and only the work platforms in a separate place where I can't be distracted by any of those other feeds. So let's see. Oh, opening the fridge. Okay, I think a lot of people would say the kitchen and the fridge. I see social media is a big one. Someone else said too much time for LinkedIn. Definitely the same issue. So those of you who have the issue with social media, have a look at Hoot, HOOTSUITE.com, Hootsuite. You can put all your platforms from LinkedIn to Facebook to Twitter in one space, and then you can only focus then on the feeds for your business. What are some of the good habits that you guys feel that you have that actually you've put in place already? Let's have a look. What are some of the good habits? Okay. Oh, bad habit. When I feel tired, I sleep. Yes, then do not put your office anywhere near a bed or a couch, definitely. All right, so some of my good habits, like I said, is getting up and moving around. And staying in contact with my team is a good habit. Okay, routine, definitely. Very good habit is to have a strong routine. Okay, breaking for tea or lunchtime. Another one of my bad habits is I don't actually, when I'm very busy, take enough breaks. Okay, so let's move on from there. I want you all to make a list a little bit later. What are your good habits? What are your bad habits? And then just ways, kind of brainstorm ways how you can break them. Here are my tips on how you can break these these bad habits. The first is, and this comes from a podcast I heard called Hidden Brain, and it comes from a psychology professor at the University of Southern California. Basically, they say that if you want to build a good habit, you need to remove friction. So the brain likes things to be easy. It doesn't like coming across obstacles. So building a good habit, remove friction, meaning making it easy for you to achieve. If you want to stop a bad habit, add friction. So make it difficult for yourself to do that habit. So if you are a workaholic, for instance, at the end of a specified time where you say, I'm not allowed to work past this time of day, you might want to close your laptop and give it to your partner or your spouse and tell them that under no circumstances are they allowed to give it to you. Then if you are tempted to work beyond that at that time, the friction created in that moment might actually make you stop. Does that make sense? If like a good habit, for instance, you would make it easy for you to do. So by setting up your office properly, by not making it difficult to access the tools you need, that would then help you foster some good habits. If you want to build a good habit, try adding it to an existing habit by piggybacking it. Okay, so for instance, I already have a very firmly established habit of making tea in the morning. Now, if I add an element to that habit, it's easier to pick up. So for instance, if I want to listen to more podcasts and improve my knowledge, I can listen to earphones while I'm drinking my cup of tea. So I can listen to my podcast while I'm drinking the tea. The tea then becomes the trigger for the new habit. Removing friction, I heard a story of someone who wanted to exercise in the morning before work, but she wasn't a morning person at all. So what she would do was she would sleep in her active wear so that she didn't have to get dressed in the morning. And in that way, she removed the friction and she was able to start her workouts a lot quicker. So those are just some ways. Whenever you want to build something new into your workday, remember friction, removing friction, adding friction, and piggybacking. All right, dealing with distractions. Distractions interrupt our flow and they can add hours to a task. I would say one of the biggest distractions I've got is the notifications from the smartphone. And I'm sure all of you have noticed they have gone up substantially, especially the WhatsApp messages, the videos, the memes, which are great because they are funny and they keep your mood up. But at a point, they get a lot. So I would say silence them, silence those notifications and restrict them so that you have a reasonable stretch of focus time. And in that way, you're going to get stuff done a lot quicker. So guys, share with us, what are some of your biggest distractions? We've seen the fridge is definitely a problem. We've seen social media as a problem. Is there anything else that's a problem? With me, I have neighborhood dogs that bark incessantly. There are often delivery people out that I have to let in. So that can, pre-lockdown period become a bit of an issue. I see a lot of people say, yeah, the smartphone. I think a lot of people agree with that. And then obviously those with kids, I mean, bless their souls, we love them so much, but they are definitely in the top of the distractions. Yeah, and your dogs too. And oh, TV is definitely a big one. So yeah, make a list of your top 5 distractions and brainstorm after this how you can eliminate or reduce those distractions. Okay. Next up, part of establishing a healthy habit is building boundaries and learning to say no to others and yourself. Working from home means that people feel like, and again, this is pre-lockdown, people can pop in anytime, they can visit anytime, they can call anytime. I think what's important, and when you have kids too, is to establish boundaries and say, okay, this is a specific time I need to focus. I cannot answer any messages. I'm not going to answer any calls. I'm switching off my email and I'm saying no so that I can get this done. I'd like to also introduce you guys to a quite a unique concept that I heard on the radio a few years ago, and that was that discipline equals freedom. And I know it sounds completely counterintuitive, but in a way, if you are disciplined in your focus time, you will have more freedom in the evenings, you'll have more freedom on the weekends, you'll have more freedom to spend time with your kids and to do the things you want to do. So being disciplined with your focus time, being disciplined with your work will actually give you freedom. And then, like I say, all those temptations out there, because a lot of the distractions are not other people, they are kind of created by ourselves, where we choose to do things that are not related to what we need to get done. If temptation calls on the phone, don't argue with it, don't fight it, just don't answer the phone. So eliminate that temptation. Don't even put it in front of you. Don't even argue with it. It doesn't exist. Okay. So avoid distractions, but take regular breaks. And I think the and breathe is for me in this instance. I think I've had a lot to say so far. I promise you I'm almost done. I won't keep you here for much longer. But breaks are extremely important. And what's great about being at home is that your breaks can be completely different to the office. If you are watching a series, you can go make lunch and go watch something on Netflix for that half an hour. You can do things like, I don't know, anything that actually tickles your fancy in that time that gives you energy, that helps you just separate, switch off that work mode, go into break mode, recharge, and then go back again to work mode. So don't forget to take those breaks. All right, and now we're into the final stretch of this webinar, and that is the kid factor. I read an article about this guy. He was a dad, and he used to need a lot of strategic thinking. So he would often be at home and working in his mind, but the kids wouldn't know that he was working. So they would constantly bother him. His spouse would also bother him because to help with home chores and that kind of thing. So he established this way of signaling to them that this is dad time and this is work time. So he would wear a fireman's hat when he was working. And in that time, the kids had a visual signal that daddy is working and to not be disturbed. He told them to please pretend he was invisible during that time. When the hat was off, he was available to give them his full attention. I thought that was extremely, extremely helpful. You can also create rewards for the kids and things to look forward to. So tell them, listen, mommy has a meeting now. It's very important. You do not knock on this door. You do not disturb me. As soon as this meeting is finished, we will do something fun together. We will play a game. We'll go outside. We'll do some dancing. Choose also then, like I said earlier, the space and the time that works best. You have to be especially flexible when your kids are at home and you need to get work done. Then a very important thing is give them a dedicated time of your 100% full attention. Don't check your phone, don't check your email, just be one-on-one with them, like so that they feel like less of a distraction and more like you are giving them everything of you in that moment. Remember to do that. You could also include them for the older kids. Kids love mimicking what adults mimic. Create a workstation for your kid. Give them like, I don't, moms don't scream at me, but give them a tablet so they can pretend that they're working at the same time you do. Give them a task to complete in their home station while you're in your home station. That might be quite fun and interesting. Be flexible and be selective. So watch them. If the two of them are playing extremely nicely together, use that time to answer a few emails. Switch between work mode and home mode, like instantly. Moms and dads, I'm sure you are great at this. As I said before, nap time and sleep time is a good time for you to focus. And then, guys, seriously, if you are in a relationship, if you have a partner, if they are grandparents, parents, aunties, or uncles, tag team. You need to tag team. So say, my darling, I just need 2 hours. Will you have the kids for 2 hours, and then I'll take over from you? Or like I saw the other day, it was magnificent. The grandparents Skyped in and actually were reading the grandkids' stories versus online. So you can have online interactions with the aunties, the uncles, the friends, the support systems. Call in the reinforcements if something is really urgent. Do it. We all need our support systems, even in isolation, and technology will help you access that. And there we go.